Director of Athletic Communications, Adam Heinzen, joined alongside 14th-year head men's soccer coach Joe Lidke as we preview the team's upcoming season. Coach, thanks for joining me today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me here.
Let's take it back to last year before we start things off. The team finishing 11-9 overall, 6-5 in conference, best record overall in school history in the first conference tournament appearance since '07.
Yep.
You graduated 2 seniors and wealth of returning players. Is there a feeling of continuity and familiarity with this group of players?
Yeah, there really is. I think that there's been some good camaraderie. I mean, the amount of time that they spend together, just hanging out in the locker room and watching games that we have on our TV in there. So that part, I think the social part really has shown the continuity. And then as far as their expectations, knowing how to approach our training sessions and what's required of them, there hasn't been a big learning curve at all that way. And to be honest, now that you brought it up, it makes me notice it more because I really haven't had to address too many issues as far as just general housekeeping issues to make sure things go smoothly. So it's been very good in regards to that.
And then as far as the preseason goes, has that made the transition easier?
Yeah, it has. The preseason has been, I think, was a good preseason. We stayed relatively healthy, and there weren't really any incidents where guys showed up late or things weren't done in the way that we expect them to be done here.
Now that the team has experienced that success from a year ago, such a young team, what's it going to take for you to get to the next level, higher seed in the conference tournament, or
Sure.
Contending for eventual conference championship? Well, what's it going to take now to get to the next stage?
Sure, I think it's going to really take growth from our players that we have here. Our returning players need to physically. They have matured a bit, so that helps going from that freshman year to sophomore year and sophomore year to junior. I think is definitely a physical jump, so they use their bodies better, which helps them in the physical nature of the game. I think mentally right now we're dealing with a lot of tactical things as far as how we want to play and to really be able to put our identity on the game. So we're never chasing the game. We're always dictating the tempo and the flow of the game, and we're playing the way that we want to as opposed to the way other teams want us to play.
You had 3 freshmen last year who were named all-conference: Austin Drake, Nate Wasser, and Tefe Joyce. Out of those 3 guys, have you seen them make the strides that you were looking forward to them making now that they're going into their second year on the team?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. It really made me think. It makes me think about in what ways have they made strides. And what jumps out to me is the fact that I think physically, going back to that point again, where they physically don't look like they're seniors in high school trying to figure out the college game. They're using their bodies better. They all 3 of them came in pretty good shape, which I think is also part of that learning curve. They understand the demands that are going to be upon them. We'll rely heavily on all 3 of them to do what they do well, game in and game out. So I think being able to to handle the full season. Right now it's a bit premature. Maybe their grade is incomplete on how much they've improved. We'll see in game 12, game 13, if they've continued to improve and if they don't hit that proverbial wall.
Your team allowed a school record low 24 goals that last season. Do you see that success in the defense carrying over to this year?
I hope so. Our schedule's tougher. We play some very good teams, some teams that are going to bring a lot of attacking firepower. So I'd be thrilled if we were able to top that mark and allow less goals. I think one of the biggest improvements that I see that gives me optimism that we're going to be able to limit our opponent's goals against us is John Stewart has really just been a model college athlete and college soccer player. He has just worked tirelessly throughout his 3 years, and he's coming into his 4th year in phenomenal shape, and he's making saves day in and day out. He's playing great, so he gives me ultimate confidence that we are going to be a more difficult team to score against than we were last year.
We're a couple days here before the end of the preseason, before the real thing starts. Can you take us through what a day of training has been like for the team? Sure.
Our 2 days consisted of a session from 8 to 10 in the morning. We would bring the guys into the locker room and we would provide breakfast for them at about 7 o'clock so that we would try and give them something good to eat. And then we would go from 8 to 10. Most of our sessions would be about 90 minutes to 100 minutes. But then they'd have a bit of a break in there, and then we'd go 2 to 4. And then after that we would have a meeting. So a lot of what we focused on was combination play in groups of 3 and 4, just getting guys to be able to read each other and be able to knock the ball and to create goal scoring opportunities. So they worked pretty hard, and I think the pieces are coming together.
Great. What are the biggest strengths you've seen from the team so far, and what areas might you still want to see improvement?
Yeah, for sure. I think our defensive organization has been good, and that goes back to the fact that our back line doesn't have any freshmen in it anymore. So our defensive organization, knowing when to step, knowing when to drop, has been pretty good. We really need to see improvement in working for each other, making runs into space, getting off to on angles to support the ball, and to really be able to connect passes between each other. So right now we're really focusing heavily on on our attack and being able to create goal scoring chances, because I believe we have the ability to do it, but we have to get on the same page.
You want to speak about a little about the newcomers that you brought in, and are there any that have stuck out in your mind?
Sure. There are a few. In this, with the dynamics of our team now, newcomers coming into our program have a harder road to crack into the starting lineup due to the fact that we return a lot of sophomores and juniors. But as far as their overall group, it's been a great group with their attitude. They've been very hard workers. They've been really willing to learn. They've been respectful to the program, which I think is important when guys come in, that they that they understand the opportunity that they have, and they value that opportunity. Trey Hendricks has really shown a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of passion. He's playing hard. He's a guy that I think has his eyes on the prize, and he wants to make sure he keeps getting better. So he's been a bit of a bright spot in that class. And then we also we have two I don't know how you want to phrase them. They're not transfers, but two guys that didn't play last year, and Ryan Kurth and Roman Nino. That Roman had played his freshman year, took his sophomore year off, is back again. I can't say enough about him as an individual or as a player. He's going to get significant minutes for us. He's very important to us. Hard-working guy, really is important to what we do. And then Ryan Kurth, who played basketball here the last year, is out to play soccer, and his potential, I think, is really untapped right now. He should get playing time for us once he gets his feet underneath him a little bit more. So those two guys that came in this year that weren't with us last year, just being older guys, really are significant to what we're trying to do.
You touched on it a few moments ago, but we'll dig deeper into it now. The schedule. You open up with a couple games at home. You go out to the Pacific Northwest, and you're back home for 4 games. You start with Platteville, a team that made a deep run in the NCAA tournament last year. Can you touch on the strengths of the schedule and
Sure.
what are you looking forward to?
Yeah, I think our schedule has a good rhythm to it, as far as there's opponents in there that are really obviously going to challenge us, starting out with Platteville. They made it to the Sweet 16 last year. They're going to come and they're going to be ready to go, and that'll be a great initial test for us. I'm very anxious to see how our guys perform in that Friday night opener. And then, when we go out to Seattle, I'm really looking forward to that, because that just presents a whole different challenges, set of challenges for our guys. Being that far away from home, the time change, and the two teams that we play out there are very good. So we play Puget Sound and we play Pacific Lutheran, both NCAA quality type teams. So our schedule is definitely more difficult, which I think will help challenge us. But the rhythm to our schedule is nice, because I think there's home games scattered throughout there against opponents that we're more familiar with. That I feel like we're going to be successful in all of our matches with what we take out of them.
Thanks, Coach. Again, the Warriors open their season Friday night, hosting UW-Platteville at 7:30 p.m. at Warrior Field. Coach, thanks for joining me today, and we'll talk to you as the season goes on.
Great. Thanks, Adam.